Perfect. All right, let's begin. Yeah. So glad to have you here, London. My name is Shak Lubia, founder of Youth Mentors and VCs, and our main aim is just to see how we can bridge the gap between African businesses and different mentors across the world, especially Africa. And we are very honored to see their success stories you're already having. We have seen people doing businesses with people from South Africa, others in different countries here in Kenya as well. And it's a good thing. That's why we reached out to you so that we can get to know your vibrant business and also we see how you can help us have an aligned systems with our diaries and everything, and especially the playbook. Besides that, I'm a founder of a manufacturing company called Rico. So Rico does production of plant-based product in Watamu, Kilifi County. And yeah, that's basically what I do. So right now I'm dropping it over to you all through. So we'll start by introduction. Tell us who you are before we jump in on the questions. Yeah.
Okay. Thank you, Shak, for having me. This is I'm very honored to be here. My name is London, as you mentioned, and I'm the founder of the Playbook, creator of the Design Your Life Planner, and I'm also a performance auditor. That's my main job. And yeah, I guess we'll get to know a bit more of the rest as we go along, but that's really it.
Yeah. What's a performance auditor?
So a performance auditor is basically an auditor who looks into processes, systems, and procedures in a company or an organization to check for efficiency, to check for effectiveness, and to check for cost effectiveness, which is basically economy. And so that's what I do for most of my 9 to 5. And then the rest of the 24 hours, I am then concerned with I'm then concerned with the playbook.
All right. So
Yeah.
the name playbook, where did it come from?
Well, the playbook is essentially like the rules that you play by. You know, if let's say if it's a fight club, yeah, the rules that are in place for what should happen is basically called the playbook. And so for me, it was an inspiration because it's about how can we run our lives, you know, by what rules or by what guidance can we run our lives. And since the business is basically about getting the most out of life and
Mhm.
understanding the best strategies and techniques that you can have to get the most out of life. I figured, hey, the playbook.
Okay. All
Yeah.
right. Amazing. I mean, these ideas, like for me, I would say like my company called Rico. The name came from uh, actually it came while I was washing utensils, so I was expecting it to, to give me some fun inspiration, but it's fine. It's
Wait,
fine.
so wait, I need to hear this. What do you mean it came from when you were washing utensils? Did you see like
Yeah.
what happened? Like how did you get inspired?
So what happened is I had a company. The company name was Coconazi, but when I was going to do an international order, someone has come. So when I was going to do an international order, we couldn't use the name because the name was Nazi, and Nazi is associated with genocide. So I remember I'd looked for another name for like 3 months, and the new name was not coming. So one day while I was doing my utensils, um, I asked myself, what is the name of rich in Spanish? And then love. What is the name of love in Spanish? And then the inspiration of love was because I was coming actually from a heartbreak. And then I was like, in this life, what I need is just money and love. So I was doing the dishes. I remember I was half commando. And then, yeah, so while I was doing the dishes, I decided to Google. I actually stopped doing the dishes and then I looked at my phone. So I saw the name Rich in Spanish is Rico. And
Mm.
then what is translation of love in Spanish, and then it was amor. So I was like, okay, my company is going to be called Rico Amor, and the name was approved. You know,
Yeah.
so
Okay.
very fine inspiration.
You know
Yeah.
what? I like that story because
Mm,
inspiration comes from like in everywhere, you know. A
mm,
lot of
mm,
times, and this I think we'll probably discuss this later,
mm,
about like the changing our mindsets about work and creativity. We are
mm,
so used to the 9 to 5 sitting in a desk and being expected just the moment you sit in that desk, somehow you're inspired. But really,
yeah.
when you're taking a shower, you have this like bursts of creativity. See, when you're, washing utensils, that's when that
Mm,
happens. Like literally creativity happens as we do
mm,
life. And yeah,
mm.
so I think that's one of the mindsets that we need to change.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. So it's different for everyone. All right. I'm gonna jump in on the questions, and pardon me because I'll be kind of looking aside because that's where my phone has decided is gonna stick.
Okay, no worries.
So yeah, my first question is the playbook. How does it address the productivity challenges faced by individuals and organizations?
Okay, so the playbook, let me maybe start from the inspiration behind the
Mm,
playbook.
mm,
I was during the pandemic in 2020 when everything shut down. My company, or rather the project that I was working on, I switched to online, which was something completely new. It was my first time using Zoom, as many people. It was my first time starting to understand like their tools like Slack, their tools like Notion. And I remembered that I was in a very high-stake international project. And one of the requirements that I had was I needed to write down my timesheet. I needed to explain the hours that I'm taking and what am I doing during those hours. And the thing was that the work was so intensive. I was like doing 14, 16-hour days. And by the time it was Thursday, Friday, when I was meant to actually sit down and do my timesheet, I couldn't remember anything, you know? And I thought my brain was broken. And because I was like, how am I not remembering things that I did on Monday? And so that got me into a quest of starting to understand how my mind works, and then starting to research about work, how do we do, it's like meta thinking, how do we think about thinking? And so then I just got into this world of productivity and starting to understand that um, like work can actually be designed differently. It's not the idea of, as I mentioned before when we were talking, 8 to 5 or 9 to 5, sit at your desk and then you have inspiration. I started to realize that people are working differently. And so I was getting a lot of challenges like managing the project, managing my time, because obviously now you had to do all the housework, by yourself because there was no help at this point. I had to put in the 16-hour weeks. There was so much going on, and I was feeling so overwhelmed. And so I realized previously I had just been, I wake up in the morning and I just go by my day. And because my day is kind of automatically set by my workplace or, whatever I have to do that day, I never really put thought into designing my day, And so from that moment and that feeling of overwhelm is when I started really like brain dumping and writing things down and realizing that I do have to like, plan my day if I'm going and, if I'm going to have a successful day, if I'm going to have to remember what I need to make a record of, I actually need to write it down. And so, yeah, so I started putting down notes on just like random rough books, notebooks that I had already existing. And then I realized, you know what, I need a proper planner, you know. And so I went to the bookstores a few months later when we were able to move around. I went to the bookstores and I couldn't find a planner. I couldn't find anything at all that would suit, the kind of needs that I had, which was like plan my day, have a bigger picture. And so then I was like, okay, wait, I will wait until December because that's then the season of planners and journals, and then I can buy one. And in December, when December came by, I couldn't find anything. Like I went by and all I found were just the regular diaries. And so it was at this point, and I'd already started doing this. I'd already started designing from rough notebooks and from like the black books, the big black books. I started like really designing templates to help me day by day. And the reason I was looking for a planner, it was because it was so intensive, having to do a template every time, every week. And I was like, I need something that's already automatic. So anyway, it's from this overwhelm that I realized that I needed to really understand how to organize my mind. I couldn't find tools, especially like physical, like books or physical planners and journals that would really fit the needs that I had. And so from this point, I actually started designing. And when I started, actually, I wanted to just produce planners for myself so that I didn't have to, do the templates every time. And then from there, I realized, okay, you know what? If I have this need, there's definitely other people who have this need. Yeah. And then so from here, I sent out surveys, questionnaires to other people to find out like how do they plan themselves, how do they organize themselves. And basically, this is how the playbook was created because it was now about helping people with their personal productivity.
Mm, amazing, amazing. Let me see if okay, okay, all right. I saw something there about recording my last right. All right, so uh, you wouldn't say that you put playbook as the same as a diary. There's a bit of a difference there, right?
There's a huge difference. Yes.
Yeah.
There's a huge difference in the sense of when it comes to organizing stationery, I would say what we commonly have, we have diaries, we have journals, and then we have planners. So diaries
Mm,
tend to be what you see every day. They have dated, they have probably one page or a few dates within one page. It's your typical diary that you will find even produced by organizations. And then you have journals. So journals essentially are um, can be mostly blank pages
mm,
with like prompt questions to like help you. And sometimes journals can be thematic in the sense that, they could be more oriented to do like towards, say, mental health, maybe towards your faith. But when it comes to planners, planners actually are meant to organize you. They're templated in a way that they prompt you to think about how is your day going to be, how is your week going to be. And I would say for the Design Your Life Planner, it's designed in a way that it starts from the bigger picture and it starts with a vision board. So, I mean, your vision board can cover your entire life, or it could cover long-term planning, say 15, 25, 50 years. And it also then it breaks down into shorter plans, 6 months, 1 year, 6 months. And then now it goes into monthly, weekly, and then everyday tasks and everyday habits that you want to keep. So in that way, you have a bigger picture and you can break it down into everyday things that you can do to achieve your bigger picture.
okay, so for people who are into manifestation, are you speaking their language?
I might not really speak their language because there's a lot of action in planning.
Mhm, mm,
There's a lot of action in planning, but I do think that manifestation is just one of the things that you need to do to get to where you need to be. You know,
mm,
I feel like you need to dream it before you can plan it and before you can do it.
mm.
Yeah.
So basically, you're saying they should sort themselves out. Thank you. Anyway.
I'm saying that they should align their everyday
uh,
actions with their manifestations. You can say, I manifest. Okay, maybe you can. I don't know. I'm not really an expert on manifestation. I'm such a doer. I'm such a doer that it might not, but really, I think that you can't really be like, oh, I want $100,000 in 3 months. I want $100 in 3 months, and say it every day and sleep, and just stay at home and sleep. Not do anything on your laptop to find out how you can make 100K. Not go out there and connect with other people and figure out ideas that make you 100K. So I do think that there's definitely action needed with manifestation.
Yeah. So they should not only write and wait for their book to become a magic thing for them. All right, it's fine. So let's move on. Yeah. What are some of the most effective strategies you found on improving productivity and performance in millennial knowledge workers?
I will start with the simplest. I would say when it comes to understanding your productivity and performance, you need to understand where you're going, where you are, and what is the gap between the two, and what do you need to do to get there. Yeah. So, and you need to identify what works for you, and that's why it's important for you to understand what your gaps are. For example, someone can be, for example, one of the things that is a problem for me that might not be a problem for you, because I have ADHD, is time blindness. If I tell you I'll see you in 30 minutes, honestly, it could be anything. It could
What do you
be
mean?
it could be in 15 minutes, it could be in 2 days' time.
Yeah, I'm a very lucky man today.
But so in the sense that I really need to actually use tools to help me create a boundary to understand 30 minutes. So for example, if I take a shower and I say, oh, I'll see you in 30 minutes, that shower could really take 2 hours because mentally I don't really know how to estimate what 30 minutes is. And this is actually a condition a lot of people have, yeah? And
I
also as
was
a
actually going to ask, is this just you or is this something that, is it
No,
just
no,
you?
no. One, actually, it's one of the symptoms of ADHD. So if you have anyone in your audience who suffers from ADHD, some of the tips and strategies that we talk about are very useful. So anyway, so you have to identify what your issues are. You could be very good at keeping time, but you could be terrible at understanding your projects. You could be very good at bigger picture, vision, but then you're terrible at everyday tasks and the opposite. So you need to identify that, and then now you're able to actually diagnose what problems you have. But let me say in short, the things that you need to look at. You need to look at time, your knowledge, and effort, because those are the biggest resources that you have. And then the strategies that you can use, for example, time management, yeah? You can look at time blocking. You can look at time tracking and also time recording. Time tracking also will record what you're doing, and that helps you really keep track and be in step with the things that you need to do. Then you also have knowledge management, which is basically harnessing information that comes to you. As knowledge workers, the biggest assets that we have is knowledge. Yeah. And so understanding how to harness information from outside, from the internet, everywhere it comes from, and distilling it for the things that you need. That is going to save you a lot of time, because one of the areas that we get distracted the most is in our search of knowledge. Because where do we search our knowledge from? Mostly the internet now. And the internet is so distracting. So understanding how, how to guard yourself against the distractions of going into the internet and access information is one of the ways that you can increase your productivity. And thirdly, your effort, where is your energy going? What are you doing? How much effort does it take to actually get, say, a report done? How much energy does it, effort does it take to get the most out of your day? Understanding this means that you can harness your day in a way, or design your day in a way that one, you make the most use of when you have the most energy, and then, and when are you most creative? Because sometimes even when you have the most energy, you don't necessarily want to do the most creative things. Maybe you want to, go for a run. Yeah. And maybe when you're more relaxed, then you want to think about like ideas for your business and so on. So understanding yourself is the biggest hack to actually your productivity.
So let's maybe speak about the clients you meet, right? Let's say now I am your client here, right?
Mhm.
And I have this thing with routines that are really challenging. So right now I'm finding myself working a lot at night. When it comes to me waking up early in the morning, it's not working anymore. And there was a time I could wake up and work from 3 a.m. Going forward, But right now I'm finding myself being very active at night as compared to in the morning. Yesterday, I traveled, came back to my place. So I was like, no, today I'm gonna wake up early in the morning because I traveled the whole day. So I'm gonna sleep at night so that I can wake up in the morning. It failed. My body was just like, hey, we're used to running at night. What do you mean you're sleeping? So is there a way you can follow a script with the playbook to make you follow a certain routine that is actually going to help you? Because now I'm failing to understand, is will I work at night? Is it helping me as compared to waking up early in the morning?
Okay. Mm, okay. One of the questions I would ask, what's your baseline? What's your default? Is the working at night a recent thing, or is that your default in general? And does this serve you or does this not serve you? So obviously, let's say, yes, your default is working at night, but then you have a new job and essentially you're supposed to be there maybe at 9 a.m. or 8 a.m. Number one, obviously, then you have to put controls in place. One, you have to ensure that like with your sleeping, put in place. Say, for example, you know that you have to wake up at 9 a.m. I mean, sorry, you have to wake up at maybe 7 a.m. so you can make it for 9 a.m. Office hour. Then work backwards. How many sleep hours do you need? So say eight, I would say 7.5, 7 to 8 hours, which puts you at whatever, let's say 11 is when you're supposed to, or midnight, at least by midnight, you're supposed to be asleep. Then work around making sure that you're in bed. So you set an alarm at around 10 to just beep you and alert you that maybe in half an hour, in an hour, you need to go to bed, which means already you're setting up your brain to wind down, you know? And of course, you can also grayscale your phone because your phones are so distracting. The white light from our phones is probably what keeps us awake for so long. And then, you can also grayscale your phone to ensure that you're not distracted by that. And then you can also, so for example, when it comes to like tiring yourself out, what are the things that tire you out enough for you to sleep? So if you say you go for a run at 5 p.m. or 4 p.m. will mean that in 3 4 hours you will really not have energy to do anything else. That resets your system. Yeah. So it's understanding what you need to do, what is happening, and then remapping and redesigning your system basically.
So what you're saying is there is no fixed routine plugged in someone's system, because now I'm in a position I'm even scared. I'm like, will my life ever change? Because if I get used to this, if I'm going to be having morning flights and I can't make to the airport in the early in the morning because I'm staying up all night, you
Yeah.
know? So it
Yeah.
means the system can be changed with time, right?
It can. It can.
Mhm.
And one of the things that you probably will not get from me is a 1 2 3 4 for anything because we are so different. For
Mhm.
example, I will tell you that I'm a night owl and I
Mhm.
work in a Lux world, which is basically Lux the people that thrive in the morning,
Mhm.
at 6, 5 a.m., they're up, they're doing their thing. And
Mhm.
this is the world was actually made for Lux. Yeah, people who morning loves, people who wake up in the morning. And the rest of us, basically, we have to redesign ourselves if we want to make money in this
Mm.
capitalistic economy,
Yeah, yeah,
So
yeah,
we
true.
have to redesign ourselves so that we can actually fit that. But also, I would say more importantly is also try and draw yourself to activities, passions, and work that caters to you. Because then that means that at your default, you're most likely going to work better than trying to compete with someone who is already naturally waking up at 5 a.m.
Mm.
You are going against the grain. They're going along the grain. They're going with the flow. Yeah.
So we should go with the flow.
Try to go with the flow unless you don't have to, unless you
Yeah,
don't have to. Yeah.
yeah.
And then, of course, set up controls, as I mentioned, to wake up early, to do this, even running, not, I mean, even exercise. Not a lot of people like want to wake up and go to the gym, right? So
Yeah.
yeah, so you have to, put a timer on, have your Apple Health app, or let's say your Android, Samsung Health
Mm.
app, to track and give you motivation. Because every time you say, oh, I did 10,000 steps, when I went running, it motivates you to do better. So it helps you go against the friction. And that's basically even what automation is.
Yeah, I'm grateful you mentioned Apple and Samsung in the same sentence because I know we will have brought conflict between the iPhone users and the Android users. So thank you so much for caring about me. Uh, Maybe the other question would be about the innovative tools that you will recommend, but I think you mentioned them, but maybe if you can give them in short lines that people can understand, what are the innovative tools and techniques you recommend for streamlining workflow and enhancing efficiency?
Okay, so I'm going to be very biased here and
Mm.
maybe speak about three of my favorite tools because they incorporate a lot of the things that I think are essential in being productive and enhancing your workflow, which is basically time management, knowledge and project management, as well as effort. And this would be one, Todoist, which I think is the simplest anyone can start using. It's such low friction app, which basically helps you capture what you need to do, and in very easy human language form. So you can say, I need to run on Friday, and it will basically schedule that for you and basically schedule on that Friday and remind you that you need to run. I have a meeting, or have a meeting with your manager. It's easy capture, and it captures, and also if you put time and date, it easily like sorts itself out into the date and time that you need to do the thing. Yeah. And then you have Trello. Trello is basically, so you have Todoist, Trello, and Notion. I'm going to talk about these three because essentially all of them about task management, project management, with a lot of other add-ons in them. So you have Trello. Trello is a bit a step up to Todoist. And basically Trello helps you design your projects and tasks in a Kanban manner. So it basically allows you to put your projects in a way that you can see the workflow automatically. And that also helps you with visualization on what you need to do. Of course, it also has a time element. The best thing also about Trello is collaborative. So you can actually even use it with team members. You can use it as a family. You can use it in an office setting. Absolutely, absolutely amazing project management tool. And Notion is absolutely my favorite thing in the world. Absolutely favorite thing in the world. It's basically a workspace that helps you like visualize. It helps you visualize your dreams, your projects, your tasks. It helps you collaborate with other people in the projects that you need to collaborate with other people. It also has time elements. It has reminders. It also allows you to design your projects in a workflow manner so that you can see the beginning and the end of your projects. Yeah.
Wow. Amazing. So say Trello is a new word.
Trello, yes,
Yeah.
Trello. But then also, I think I'd like to mention just also in a general form that if you're looking into enhancing your productivity or your performance, what you should be looking at is having a project management tool like the ones I've mentioned, having a time management tool, and some of the options I could give is Toggle Track is one option. You have Clockify. You have an app called Boosted that helps you track what you're doing. Some of these apps are also very important even when you're doing your work. I know there's a lot of people that who probably watch your program and podcast that are doing client work and they need to actually record. And some of these apps, like even Clockify, Toggle Track, they can do this in the background as you work on your computer, so you don't have to remember, you don't have to go back and remember this. And then I would also say calendars. Oh my God, calendars are so underrated. Being able to, for example, just send someone a Calendly and give them the options of when they can schedule, with everything else blacked out, so that they can choose the times that you've designed. You don't have to go back and forth. Does Wednesday work? Does Friday work? It saves so much time. And this might not seem so important when you're in an informal setting, but it becomes important when you have to set up 3, 4 meetings in a week, you know?
Mm.
Yeah, and then you can
Yes.
start to really see the benefits of how much time you actually save.
So two questions from that. Um, so let me speak about me. Someone like me, I even have a challenge on just following that small system of home workout on my phone. What comment do you have for people like us? For us, our phone is just for receiving calls, having meetings like this, maybe, and replying to our WhatsApp. So we have that challenge. Even when it comes to meeting, you have to look at your calendar 3 times so that you are sure, hey, I won't forget this one.
Mm-hmm.
And then my second question would be now, how about when you're working in an organization where I can have all the tools by myself for all the meetings and stuff. I have Trello thing that I'm following, but when now it comes to an organization where you need everyone to be keeping time, you need everyone to be following a specific routine, so that things can happen. And then even that system can also be duplicatable. When those people are not there, other people can follow and just, incorporate different new people who are coming to join the system. So what tools will we use as a large organization?
Okay. So let's start with your problem at a personal level.
Yeah. Yeah.
I think the question is, where is your friction coming from? And I think also a lot of consulting is asking questions. Similar to coaching is asking questions, because it's questions that beget answers, you know? So the question would be, what is the friction? Why do you have to keep looking and checking your calendar? Because your calendar should have a reminder, Your calendar can allow you to put a 3-day notification to remind you need to get a birthday gift for a special loved one. Yeah. You can also set it up to give you a 1-day notification to remind you that you need to go for that party. And it can also give you a 1-hour notification to the event. I think most of the time is we don't actually maximize and make use of the tools that are of the features that are already inherently in the tools that we have. Yeah.
So you're saying we should not set alarms. Like for me, alarms, no.
No,
Because
but
for me,
that
I
is setting an
put
alarm.
alarms.
No, that is setting an alarm. If I show you my phone right now, how many alarms I have, you will think I'm crazy. You'll
Jesus.
absolutely think I'm crazy because
Yeah.
honestly, it frees your mind to not having to remember things. There's a quote by David Allen that says, our mind is not for holding information, but rather it's for, thinking. I misquote it a bit, but it's really not for storing information, but rather, churning out information. And when we try to remember, oh, shopping list, trying to remember whose birthday is when we have so many tools that can just really automate this work, then we're able to free our work for the more creative and higher thinking kind of work that we need to be doing.
Okay, so even when people say I've forgotten people's names, I should tell them my mind is not for storing information.
Okay, so let me tell you a trick. I don't know if I should tell you this trick because then people
Please
will
do.
know my tricks, yeah? I'll tell you this trick
Okay.
after our conversation
All
about
right.
how to remember people's names, how to remember special things about them. And it has to do with how you save information on your phone about them the first time that you do that. Yeah.
So
But
kindly tell me, how have you saved mine?
well, I haven't gotten to know you enough for me to have little tidbits about you. But for example, when I find out when is your birthday, and this is important for me, even for my clients are usually so shocked, like, how do you remember my birthday every time? How do you remember this and this and that? How do you remember the last conversation that we had? It's not in my head. I am using the tools and the resources I have to do this. And the beauty of this is, I mean, the other person feels valued, you know? Do you know how terrible? I mean, how many times do you forget someone's birthday and you're like, hi, happy belated birthday. Oh my God, I actually wanted to get you a gift. I mean,
I know, I
it's
know.
probably been the reason for a lot of breakups.
A lot, a lot. I remember there's a time there's someone who she actually posted a birthday, and I thought to myself, didn't I wish her happy birthday last week? And then I had to go on Instagram and see when was the last time I actually wished her birthday.
Yeah.
And I noted it was not last, it was actually last year because I couldn't remember. That's how bad it can get. That's a good trick. That's a good trick.
Yeah, and
Wow.
this is just also just to show that productivity is not about just like work in the sense of formal work,
Mm,
it
mm,
has value in our everyday work. And so, okay,
mm,
secondly, to the question you asked about organization-wide productivity and efficiency.
yeah.
Okay, so number one, I will say, if you're an individual who's organized, don't be discouraged by the fact that your organization is not organized, because what that means is you stand out from your peers. You
Mm,
highly stand out from your peers. Why? You remember what happened in the last meeting. You remember the main points from the last meeting. I mean, you understand what should have been the next steps. You're always prepared, and that will always set you apart in your organization. So don't feel discouraged because other people are not organized and then you feel like they're letting you down. No, I'll give you a personal example. I used to, when I was just starting out as a team leader, I would be absolutely furious with my team
mm.
when
Yeah.
we'd have Zoom meetings and they would show up 45 minutes later. You'd give them a call, you do what, and they would just like really be late for these things and all that, and it would be very annoying. But then I realized, why am I wasting? I'm the person who's allowing my time to be wasted. And so I realized I can already, because at that point where I was working, things were very free. It was during the pandemic as well, just after the pandemic. So we were kind of doing hybrid. So it was difficult to keep track of people. And there wasn't a lot of goodwill also to like, have people be on point at that time. And so I was like, you know what? Every time that, let's say they're late for 30 minutes, it shouldn't bother me. In those 30 minutes, I can already organize, another task that I needed to do by myself, a bit of research that I needed to do on a different topic. And so, in fact, I would welcome when they were late, like I would actually welcome the time, and it would actually, because I was able to do other things that were important to me. So, yeah, so that's what I would say about that. So about your question about tools that you can use at organization level, I would say that the most common tools we have the Google G Suite. I think now it's just called the Google setup, the whole Google setup with Google Docs, all those apps in one setup. A lot of companies use Google, so this is easily accessible. Microsoft 365 is also an Outlook as well. They have all these features basically within their setup. They have calendars, they have timers and reminders, they have scheduling apps, they have collaborative documents that you can work on collaboratively and in real time. So I would say make use of those tools. Sometimes I go to organizations and they don't use these tools. They are still doing, oh, let me work on this document. Let me send you an email. Hey, did you send the email? Yes. Did you check the email? I can't find it. Could you please send it again? How many minutes, how many hours are you losing every time you and your manager are going back and forth on whether an email was sent, when you could literally get on a Google Doc or you could get on a Microsoft document that you could be working on real time in collaboration, and you can actually see the history and track who did what and when did they do this. And then also, specifically, depending on the kind of work you do, there are tools that have been designed specifically for this. For example, in audit, there's a tool called Teammate and many others. I'm not advocating for any in particular as I speak, but you have something like Teammate. And basically, Teammate helps auditors work together, collaborate on their audits. It gives them a system and a checklist on how they should be doing their procedures. It also basically sets a standard with which they should meet. You can also have your manager make comments on your work. There are also such tools for legal work, that you can literally start from the moment that you open your case file up to the point that you close your case file. You can actually track everything that is done throughout the case file. You also have in sustainability a tool called Workiva, which also does the same thing. So essentially, I mean, if you don't want to get into it too much, you're not a big organization, you can go for the default Google or Microsoft options that are out there. You have Dropbox. All these things give you so much without you having to extend yourself too much. And then if you do have specialized kind of work, you can see what kind of tools are there for your industry.
Wow. I think this should be my most expensive podcast ever done. Those guys need to pay you as brand ambassador. You've mentioned big company, they should pay me a lot of money. $10 million minimum. Yeah, those company name, I will send them this video so that because you are not here to joke. We are marketing them a lot. Anyway, it's fine. To
It's
God
true.
be the glory. Yeah.
Yeah.
So what are some of the common productivity and performance challenges you've encountered in your work, and how do you help clients overcome them?
Okay, I would say that a lot of the challenges that you see are symptoms, like say procrastination, lack of clarity in objectives, distractions. They're symptoms of a bigger challenge. And the challenge is usually you don't have a clarified objective. You don't have the bigger picture in place. Yeah. And if you do, it's not clear to everyone who works there. So, what happens is a lot of companies will have a strategic, what do they call this document? A strategic plan. Yeah. They've paid a lot of money. They got a few consultants to do their strategic plan, says vision, mission, everything. And then it's published. And where does it sit? You have it gathering dust at one of the manager's offices. Yeah, it's not helping anyone. So a lot of issues is people don't really have an understanding of what the bigger objective is. And that needs to be made clear by decentralizing information. If you have, say, that strategic plan that is guiding, that should be your guiding document in your company, how can you decentralize it to other people? Obviously, make sure you have a soft copy, you have a certified soft copy in place. Make sure that you have a document or a knowledge repository for your office, where everyone, whether it's even a Dropbox, it can be as simple as even a Dropbox, link where everyone knows this is where you get this information. You can have a company wiki, which is similar to like company Wikipedia. You have a lot of companies that have websites for other people and for clients to see what they're doing, but internally people don't know what's happening because they don't have an internal wiki that people can actually consult. And then you find that a lot of times if I need to know something about the company, how something is done, I have to call my supervisor, or I have to call, that one guy in the office who knows everything. Yeah. Then you
Yeah,
have to call
yeah.
that one guy in the office who knows everything. Could you please email me this? Could you please, you know what? So it's important for companies to have a centralized repository for information that is accessible, that is secure, and that is decentralized for their people. That is a starting point. And then from there now, one of the other areas that lack clarity, again, in line with lacking clarity in the objective, is that they don't have any systems for project management and task management. They don't have a way of showing these are the things that we are working on. This is at the point where we are, and this is where we are headed. You don't have any reminders. Your manager or your peers cannot see what you're working on. They cannot see what's coming up next. They don't know what's. A lot of people go to the office and they don't know what's going on for the next 2 weeks. I would say if you did a survey, I would say more than 50% would tell you that they go to the office not really having an agenda on what to do on that day. And this is
Are you speaking out of experience?
I am speaking out of experience. I am speaking out of quite a number of like audits, performance processes that I've gone through. And this is very clear. This is absolutely clear.
They go because they're paid to go there.
Yeah. And because your company thinks that by you being in your desk at 8 and leaving at 5, work has been done.
My Lord, my Lord, my Lord. Save us. Anyway, let me ask, because you seem to have very deep knowledge for this information. So do we need to go to school to learn all this, or is it passion that you have? How many years experience is this you have in that you're able to pour out this deep information of systems and arrangements in the organizations that people can actually use?
Okay. Well, for personal productivity.
Let me cut you short. I'm even wondering, can I speak about my company the way you do? You know, I don't know. I can explain myself in my own organization the way you're explaining this information.
Well, we need to do a test on that.
Hey, Jesus. Next time you're the one interviewing me, you see 1 minute answer is over.
Yeah, but then, yeah, I know. But I think, essentially, I think to get to your question on personal productivity, you don't need to know that much. You don't need to go that deep. Again, going back to understanding yourself, understanding your needs, and then mapping out your system for yourself. It's okay. I mean, and that's why I say if you want a 1, 2, 5, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 answer, you can always Google this. You can always check on ChatGPT and it will tell you what you need to do. But then essentially know yourself, and you don't need to know all that information. Find a tool that works for you. If it's Notion, if it's Todoist, if it's Calendly or a time tracker, even your basic alarms on your phone can be such an effective productivity system for you, because time blocking, it can remind you that between when you get to the office, 8 to 10, you're focused on only work. 10 to 10:30, you're checking your emails and responding, then 30 minutes break and so on. And you can do all that with just your phone. On the matter of systems and processes within organizations, I have to say this is backed by 10 years experience.
Oh, okay. Thank God. Thank God.
Yeah, so I've had about 10 years experience, really like going through from the basic level, understanding like organizations, like being very deeply passionate about wanting organizations and people to work better. And the reason for this is a lot of my
Just, your experience, 10-year experience. And even me, at times there are things ChatGPT usually mentions. And I'm like, this thing actually knows my company more than me. Oh, Lord. But I
it's
think, yeah.
It's true. And I don't know. One of the things maybe I can also say anyway, but I think we'll cover it in the questions that we in one of the questions that you ask. Yeah, we'll cover it.
All
But
right.
it's about people being a bit closed-minded about
Mhm.
new techniques, new tools, like even ChatGPT. Yeah.
Yeah. All right. So let's speak about automation. How can automated workflows contribute to increased productivity, and how can one apply this to their personal productivity? Yeah.
Okay. So when it comes to automated workflows, when it comes to automation, essentially what you're trying to do is free up your mind and using technology to do the work for you, you
Mhm.
know. For example, when we say, like, for example, when in an office, if you're creating a workflow, let's say your department is doing customer service. If you create a checklist that's available to all your customer representatives, and you have a format, say, for example, questions to ask a client, the feedback you should give, you have a link to the resources that have more information, that is already automation, you know? A lot of times we want to think automation is a huge thing, but sometimes it's in the simple things that we do. A checklist can be automation because a checklist for that customer representative means that I don't have to keep going to my manager to ask, or to my supervisor to ask, oh, how is this? When a client has this problem, what should I tell them? You don't have to keep going back and forth and even that checklist tells you at what point can you escalate this to the next level. Yeah. So creating workflows is basically understanding how a system is set up. And at a basic level, a system has three things. It can get more complicated, but at its simplest setup, you have inputs, you have processes that give you outputs. So the question you have to ask yourself when you're creating a workflow is what inputs are needed? And usually the inputs that you have in any organization, even at a personal level, is money, time, maybe human resources, which you can also say effort. Processes are the things that you do, maybe acquiring clients, talking to clients, marketing and whatever. And then your outputs is money, great customer service, increased profits, whatever it is. So it's mapping that. On a simpler level, you need to work out. Yeah. What do you need? Your output for working out is a healthier person, maybe a six-pack, maybe losing weight. So then what are the processes? And it's always good to actually start at the end, because then you can work forward. We call this reverse engineering, asking yourself, what is the end product that I want, or what is the end goal that I want to achieve, and then work backwards. So then you look at the processes that go into you achieving a healthy a healthy body. So obviously, if you did 100,000 steps, or if you went to the gym for 24 hours, you probably wouldn't lose the 7 kgs that you want to lose, yeah? So which means you need to give it a time period. You probably need to understand, I need to be on the treadmill, for 30 minutes. I need to do swimming 2 days a week. And I need to do maybe 2 walks of 10,000, or 10,000 walks. So what would be your inputs? Your input is obviously you need to have time. Yeah, you need to create time for these activities. You probably need to pay for a gym. You probably also want to, of course, you also need to eat better. So you need to invest in the food that you're eating. So these are the inputs that will come through. Then now you have controls and tools and techniques that help you connect all these things together, which would mean, as we mentioned, your Apple Health app or your Samsung Health app.
Thank you so much.
That helps you track, so you can see the steps that you've taken. When you went swimming, you can record that. I mean, a lot of these apps also tell you even how many calories that you're losing, with each activity. You can put in your food intake, and it helps you already. That's automation. Yeah. And you can do this, you can replicate this with anything that you want. At an office level, you want to produce documents. Yeah. What is the process of getting to, say, come up with a monthly report? You are required maybe to do a monthly report for client satisfaction, or client data. It means your processes means every week there's data that you need to collect. Identify what this data is. Input, is it surveys, is it emails from, so you understand anything that you do, simplify it to basically that three-step setup, and you can create any workflow that you want.
Yeah. So maybe on an individual and an organizational level, you're making someone like me, I don't want to speak for other people. Maybe let's say me, feel bad. I
I
mean,
know.
which country am I living in? Or
No.
how am I living my life? These systems tracking my food, you're throwing those words left and right. And I'm wondering, for
Uh-huh.
me, I just wake up. At
Mm-hmm.
times, I even don't apply oil on my skin and I move. You know, when it comes going to work out, once I'm done, the next food that I'm seeing, as long as the instructor has said it should not have a lot of fat, the rest we go with them. So for us, people who are not living with these systems,
Mm-hmm.
where do you suggest we move? Should we go to planet Mars, or because it seems like some of us we are living in a total different planet, and what we are doing, we were like created by another human being and not gods.
Oh
So
my God, I hope that's not what's I hope that's not the feeling I'm giving, because no.
yeah, because you're, I mean, like, yeah, it seems like we need to have a very structured, smooth sailing life. And I
Mm,
even wanted to ask, what about the SMEs that are just starting, like the startups?
yeah.
They don't know the importance of having these systems in the organizations, because I have a system and I totally understand what you're saying. But what about startups that are starting? They don't know if this automated system can actually even lessen the capital that they're using in their businesses. You might find that because of lack of system, they're losing a lot as compared to gaining a lot. So
Yeah.
what is that importance of even SMEs, just incorporating, and for those ones who haven't even incorporated this system, what is the importance of them having this system in their organization as small as they are? Yeah.
Okay. One of the things I will say is everyone has a system. Yeah.
Mm.
It's default. If you choose, if you really just map out what you're doing, you already have a system. It's just that you might say you didn't engineer the system, but everyone has a default system already. And also, like, just to mention, I mean, I'm also not this structured. As I mentioned, like, I'm not like, as the way you're putting it, like I'm always at 100%.
Yeah.
In fact, for me, the need to have this system is because I have ADHD. Yeah. And ADHD is a condition that really makes it, that like really impairs your executive function. Your executive function basically is like your mental organization, your ability to do tasks and follow up with things. The reason why I need reminders, the reason why I need calendars is because Shaq, if I don't put a reminder to say we're going to have this podcast today, it will not happen. You know,
Yeah.
it's a
Yeah.
survival mechanism, you
Yeah.
know.
Yeah.
So it's, I think it's not looking at it as like a perfection, or, you know, it's understanding that these are just tools, aiding tools, you know, to help your life, is to make your life much easier, you know. And so for, even if you have an SME, for example, you have a 3, 4, 5 people setup, you already have a system. You just don't know it yet. There's a way you communicate with your people. There's a way the boss cascades information to the next level, and up to the up to the lowest ranking employee. Yeah, there's a way they communicate. There's a way they've stored information. Yeah, that information probably is always with the CEO. Kitu ikihitajika lazima apigiwe simu, ambiwe tuma ile ulikuwa umesema. Client list, maybe it's only one person who has the client list. So I think it's just understanding where is your source of friction. Is it that you're having a lot of missed opportunities because you're not following up on clients? So it's basically looking at where your sources of friction are, as a, let's say, for example, as a company, as an SME. Is it that you're missing out on the clients? You're not able to follow up? Is it that you know, you're not able to adequately give information when a client actually needs it? Unajua, you tell the client, oh, I will give you the information, but you know, you have to run around with everyone. 3, 4, 5 days later is when you're sending the information to the client. At this point, they're no longer interested. They've moved on to the next company, you know. So it's understanding those pain points that you have, and then map out what you're doing, just as it is, you know. For example, when a client calls, what happens? The receptionist picks up, puts down the question, refers it to maybe the salesperson. Before the salesperson can make a decision, they have to call their supervisor and ask for more information. The supervisor has to ask the manager where, you know, where to reference this thing. Already, that's 1, 2, 3, 4 people that have had to be consulted for information that could have been given if the receptionist had a quick checklist, had a quick frequently asked questions on their desktop or on an accessible depository. You see? So it's just really looking at those pain points and then mapping out what is already existing, and then seeing where you can actually change up and redesign for better.
All right. All right. So among the signature topics, productivity, performance, system thinking, task management, mental organization, automated workflows, knowledge management. Which one do you think is impactful for you? And also that can be impactful for me and the other members, and why?
I would say the foundational topic would be mental organization. And the reason for this is because everything starts with a mindset. You can't start thinking about your vision if your mindset doesn't even, you're those people who say, that one, she's such a dreamer, or he's such a dreamer, you know, that already is a mindset. It means that you will not allow yourself to visualize what you want to achieve. If you think, oh, well, everything happens to me, you know, then you will not be proactive about understanding that if I do this, there's a cause and effect in the world. If I go and do that, course on Coursera that will take maybe 3-4 days, that will teach me about people skills, that maybe I could actually get better with my people skills and not say, oh, I'm usually just like that. I just don't know how to talk to people, you know. So it all starts with your mindset. And that's why I think mental organization is the most important. And even for an organization, mental organization is still the most important, because you cannot have organizational level efficiency if people on their own individual level don't understand how to be efficient. And what we call culture in organizations is basically mindset, you know? And even at a national level, a country can have a mindset, you know? A country can have a progressive mindset. It can have a scarcity mentality mindset. So everything starts with mindset.
Wow, amazing. So people who are with the visualization guys, meditation, be in the right place.
They're on the
Anyway,
right track.
yes. When you said mental, I was like, thank God. I think because I usually streamline a lot of things in my mind. At times I'll see people panicking and whatever, you know. But
Yeah.
once I put it in my mind, I can get all the structures I need so I can figure out everything. So yes, it begins with the mental organization. So my last question would be about maybe future trends. What future trends do you foresee in the field of productivity and performance? And how should individuals and organizations prepare for these changes?
I think I'll begin by saying the future is here. Yeah. Um, in the sense that we are literally living in the future. And the biggest setback that I see, both at a personal and organizational level, is people don't want to catch up with what is already existing. Sometimes you'll talk to executive leadership, and in very large organizations, and they probably haven't really heard about ChatGPT, or they've heard about AI, but they really can't tell you beyond generative AI, what that is, or the functions. And if you ask them something about ChatGPT, they're like, that's like cheating, you know? And you're like,
Conmanship.
you're like, I mean, are you serious? Because
Yeah,
I mean, when you think about Googling, I'm sure when people Google came up, there were a lot of people that felt like when you Google, that's also cheating. It's
yeah,
only valid if you go to the library and go through scores and scores of books to find the information that you want. And this is
yeah.
probably books that were written in 1984, 1992, So I
Mm,
mean, so I would have to say about the future, changing our mindsets now, because a lot
mm,
of people haven't changed their mindsets now. Everything that is happening now, everything that will happen in the future is an accelerated now. When it comes
yeah.
to generative AI and automation, it's only getting faster. When it comes to location independence, some people call it geography agnosticism, which is basically you can work from anywhere. You can get talent from anywhere. At this point, a company in Kenya that doesn't want to innovate and cater to, say, the well-being. How do Gen Zs want to work? They don't want to be in the office. And even millennials say they don't want to be in the office. They don't feel most productive just by
We want
sitting.
to be we want to be at the beach. Let me know.
You want to be at the beach with ideas flowing. I mean, as long as
Funny,
your report, let me
yeah,
really
funny,
ask. I mean, as long as your
yeah.
report gets through to your manager, what's the problem really?
Funny beach shingapi.
Unajua mimi pia ni wa Mombasa, so
Uh, uh, uh,
no,
uh.
but really, so you So you have a lot of people who are still just stuck or not even understanding that the future is already here. Everything that is happening now is just going to be accelerated in the future. As I mentioned, location independence. Right now, companies, Safaricom, for example, I mean, before they were assured that 90% of the developers pool in the country was theirs to choose from. But now, I mean, Microsoft, Google, I mean, even NVIDIA, whatever technology company out there can easily source talent from Kenya. Yeah. So these things are going to be just accelerated. Working models. Are you allowing hybrid working models? Well-being. People now care, especially after the pandemic. People now care about like what are they doing with their lives. They've realized we live in such a capitalistic economy and environment that I mean you could really end up like giving 2/3 of your life to work. And for what? At the end of the day, you probably don't even have a pension. So people are starting to realize they're starting to take care of themselves. They're starting to put themselves first as well. So for you as a company, you also have to be in tune with what people want, especially the younger generation.
Wow. The future is here.
Yes.
The things people are waiting for, Vision 2030, as you say, they're beginning now.
Yes.
So that is a very, very eye-opening statement. I mean, even me, I've been thinking about the future, but I guess it's here. These things we are seeing, 2030. Now. We have to
Now.
maximize whatever we have right now. So
Exactly.
where can people get the playbook as you finish? And if they want to have one-on-one basis with you, I'll be the first one actually after this interview. Hey, one-on-one. On a free schedule. Yeah, for my organization.
I'll send you a Calendly.
I beg send it. I add on alarms. Yeah, so where can people get playbook and how can they have a one-on-one session with you?
So you can find the playbook online. We have a website www.theplaybook.co.ke. We are also on all the platforms, on all the social media platforms, Instagram, TikTok, and
LinkedIn?
and Facebook as the Playbook Hub.
What about LinkedIn?
So our LinkedIn is not very developed.
Mm.
Yeah, the only thing I have on LinkedIn is my own personal profile. And yeah, that's not very shareable at the moment. Like it's still very private.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I've noticed also you're doing international, so anyone who would like it internationally, so they can also get it, right?
Sorry?
I've seen you're shipping the book internationally, so meaning also people who are outside Africa, they can get it.
Yes. So for the Design Your Life Planner, it's available essentially worldwide. We have shipped to over 18 countries in the last 2 years that we've been in existence. And you just have to go to our website, click www.theplaybook.co.ke, get to the store, order whatever option you want. We have 3 options. We have the Magic Mint, we have the Dusty Rose, we have the Silver Gray, and and checkout. You can pay with anything. You can pay with M-Pesa. You can pay via different cards, and you will receive it at your doorstep.
Wow, what a nice way to end it. I want to say I've really enjoyed, especially the looks. I mean, there are interviews we do, and yeah, we are struggling to look at the screen because we are seeing our fellow men with beards. You are not even enjoying the interview. And so I really enjoyed having this. I've learned a lot. We intend to do it in a bigger way. We're coming up with a physical studio back in Ottawa. It's a good thing you said you're from the coast. You You're all about the coast side as well, so it will be easy for you to actually come and meet us there. We'll find a good budget to fly you over so that you can come and
Awesome.
pour the knowledge, you know.
Yeah.
Especially for me, I have a manufacturing company in there.
Yeah.
I'm having a lot of conversation about systems, so I really need you to come and assist me on that side. But that discussion will have it on a separate place. And yeah, I'm actually looking forward to doing bigger projects with you. Have you travel with us as we're planning to do also a tour globally in Africa with YMBC. So I'm
Yeah.
really looking forward to that. I hope you'll find some time and join us in other projects that we'll have. But besides that, thank you so much. I hope you enjoyed. I look at this interview 3 times to continue enjoying.
Thank you. Thank you for having me. Thank you
Yeah.
for making it very easy to have this conversation. And yeah, I mean, this was actually pretty fun. I was expecting it to be a little more, but yeah, I like it went pretty easy, but you can tell I was very nervous.
No, 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 no. You actually went overboard. You outdid yourself, you know?
Yeah,
Yeah.
thank you.
All
Thank you
right.
so much. And have a nice evening, yeah?
Yeah, 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 sure. Have a wonderful evening. Bye bye.
Okay,
See you.
bye.
All right.